Howdy y'all. I figured I would do, because I haven't done it on here yet. Sorry for the camera rotate, you have to do that little button to rotate, but I am going to put together a Waterloo. So I figured I'm here getting ready to do it and might as well just let y'all take a look and see how that's done. So I'm not gonna have like any macro shots or anything like that, but I'll walk you through kind of what I'm doing. So these are little called finger cots. They're a way to protect the movement from any of the oils that are on your skin. And then I don't use kind of the typical watchmakers, if I can find the right one here, watchmaker tools, and well, if I can find it here. See, I don't use it so often that I can't even find it. Anyway, I don't use these. It's too hard for me to just look out of one eye. So I have these really jeweler magnifiers that I wear, and it gives me all the vision I need, and I can use two eyes. Okay, so I'm gonna assemble a Waterloo case back, crystal, movement holder, dial, hands, and the movement itself. So this is a Salida SW200 movement. I've already set the flip of the date so that when I set the hands, I'm going to set it at straight up 12 o'clock. So that way it will flip within a minute or two or so of the 12 o'clock time being reached. So let's get started. And there are a few, I've already cut, just so you're aware, I've already cut the stem to length and put it on the crown. That's usually a kind of a lengthy and very exacting process that you use with a very specific stem cutting tool. But the first things first, let me get the movement ready for the dial, and you extract the movement holder feet here. The dial actually sets down onto the movement, and it goes through these little holes right here, and then these little feet holders actually push in and apply tension to that. So let me get that. I forgot the date spacer, since this has a date window on the dial and a date disc underneath. There's a little spacer that needs to go on the movement. Let me grab that. Such as that right there. So let me grab that, place it correctly. And like so, there we go. Now we'll place the movement, or I'm sorry, the date disc window goes straight at 6 o'clock on the dial itself. So let's get that lined up. Goes through the movement, and then, as I mentioned, we will actually, let's see if we can focus on that. I'm not sure how well it's going to come with this light, but anyway, these feet actually then push in and slide against the dial feet to affix the dial to the movement. I know you can't really see that from here, but trust me, I'm just putting the tension on those. I don't put a whole lot of weight, really very little, on the actual dial, or I'm sorry, movement itself, on that oscillating rotor. I'm more holding it back here because I'm just putting opposite tension on it, so I can push these on. And there we go. Now I'm going to switch tools here so that I can set these hands. All right. I think that can be seen all right. First things first is the hour. And this silly putty looking stuff is called Rodico. Just getting any lint or dirt particles off of there. And then we just very carefully set this on the hour wheel and then line it up, and then I'll show you the tool I use to actually seat it. So we press each of the hands down onto their respective wheel with this cool little tool, which has different sized caps on it for the different sized hands. So we're gonna, pardon me, you won't again see this, but you'll know what I'm doing. I'm going to set the hour hand. All right, so I make sure that it is nice and flat on the dial and seated properly on that hour wheel. And it's nice and centered. Next one is the minute hand. This one's pretty delicate. It's a very small, these are thermal heated to turn blue, these hands. And so I'm just making sure this is seated down all the way. So this one's a manual one. It's kind of nice to be able to use that plunger because it's perfectly flat. The difficult thing with a manual one is you got to learn how to go perpendicular or 90 degrees. Because if you go slightly at an angle, you certainly could create an issue with, you know, putting the hand on ever so slightly at an angle. So those plungers are great to get them seated, and then the other is great to kind of tweak it and fine tune it. So get the minute hand now, just kind of placed on that particular wheel. And then very carefully, it just moved a little bit, so I don't want to start pushing down when it's not perfectly aligned onto that. So this is the tedious part. The hands are absolutely the hardest part because they're usually very delicate, and you kind of have to learn exactly how much tension and pressure you put on them so that you don't inadvertently, and I still, you know, I still do it from time to time. I put too much pressure on it, think that I didn't get it down all the way and actually got it too far down. And these particular hands on the Waterloo are so delicate that I usually end up, you know, just replacing them and putting another set on. But these are, like I said, thermal treated. They are beautiful hands, and they turn very pearly, a very pearly blue in sunlight. And they're a little bit darker in this kind of artificial light. So again, just making sure everything's seated. Let's see if we're nice and flat. Now that I've got those two hands on, I'll make sure this thing goes all the way around and again looks like, you know, straight at 1 o'clock, and I always go around to 6 o'clock and make sure it looks, I call it north-south, pointing straight. All right, I like that. This little tool just blows off any dust particles. Okay, I'm gonna tweak that just a little bit more. All right, that's flush. Okay, now those, as you saw, went very specifically at 12 o'clock. This one, this movement is a hacking movement. So what that means is when you pull the crown out all the way, it actually, to the time setting, it actually stops the second hand, stops the movement. And that's so you can do time coordinated attacks. At least that's what it was for originally many, many decades ago. Since the second hand can be independently, basically, it can be stopped and your time can be set. So it's somewhat independent. It doesn't matter where I place it on the actual, you know, it doesn't have to be at a specific 12 o'clock position or anything like that because of that hacking feature. So I'm just getting it set with the manual one, and then I use the plunger to get it seated properly. And then I make sure the hands are flush and straight and that the minute hand doesn't touch the hour hand, that the second hand doesn't touch the minute hand. So again, you're wanting to make sure that it doesn't interfere with each other. And these look great. And there may be some reserve time in here. Let's push it in. Yeah, there we go. So again, that's the point of hacking. It stops the movement, lets you adjust the time to whatever you want, and then off to the races, off you go. Okay, we're gonna switch this up a little bit. Now I'm gonna extract this crown. So there's a little, I guess I'll show y'all. Maybe you can see it. There's a little tiny depression point here. It's spring loaded and it releases, it's called the keyless works. It releases the stem, allowing you to extract it and then cut it to size. Like I said, I've already done it with this one. And the next step on this one is to make sure there's no dust or dirt anywhere on that movement, or I'm sorry, anywhere on the dial, the hands, the chapter ring. Nothing more annoying than getting it all put together and then finding out a little piece of lint or dust or something got in there. So we get this. This is a top loader. Not all watches are designed like this, but this is what's called a top loader. So it loads from the front, or a front loader. A lot of them you push through the case from the back. This one you drop in from the front. And so this is called the bezel and the crystal. They are actually pressed onto the case from that point. So this, I'm gonna make sure is clean and clear as well, which I just had done it. So it should be really clean, but there are a couple little pieces under here. Lint just, you know, finds its way into everything. All right, so that gets set just there for now. And now this other handy tool, oh, weighs a ton. This bad boy is what is used to snap. Let me see if I can get a angle on there. To snap that bezel down onto the case itself. So put a little piece of plastic on there, just to make sure it protects everything. And that's the sound you want. Now, kind of sounds like, you know, you just snap the crystal in half, but that's not what happened. It's actually pressing in. There's a gasket around it and it's pressing in and snapping into the actual case itself. Okay, so now that we've got that in there, we can actually put the movement holder in. But before we do that, put just a little bit of grease onto the stem itself. And get this seated. And then we depress that little lock again to get the crown now. Now the crown is in the movement. So again, it only pulls out so far without depressing that little lock. And give it some power. And the next thing we put in here is the movement holder. This little Teflon movement holder is clever. It has these little knobs on the very top of it. And that actually is what's used to kind of make the movement and the case one piece. So the movement holder is in here, and these little knobs at the top actually get pressed down by the case back. So when that presses down, when I screw this down, pushes that down and really firmly holds everything all together. All my other watches actually have a movement holder, but they are affixed to the actual movement through movement holder screws. And so then the piece of the movement holder is screwed down, the movement and the movement holder basically become one piece that way. This is designed a little bit different because of the screw down case back. Okay, so what I would do normally is I would give this, you know, about 15 or 20 turns of the crown to give it power. And then I take it over to my, my timing machine, and I regulate and time the movement to make sure it's running. Usually I time them to about +2 seconds, so they leave the shop around +2, but make sure it's running perfectly. And then, you know, put the case back on. It's got a gasket, you know, do a test of water integrity, make sure that it passes, you know, that test so that it's 100-meter water resistant, especially, well, only with the crown screwed down. But I'm not gonna move the camera around. I'm just gonna kind of end it there. And you can see that, you know, there's a lot of steps involved, but I had everything laid out. But, you know, sometimes I'll get people ask how long does it take? And you know, I've been doing this for a bit now, but it depends. So this all went pretty smooth and easy. Sometimes I put too much pressure on the hands. I have to you know, get another set of hands out. Sometimes the movement doesn't time great, or something happens, like during shipping from Switzerland or something like that. And then that movement, I have to tear it down and figure out what's wrong with it. So it can take, you know, 15 minutes, 10 minutes to assemble, or it could take 2 hours. Sometimes it just totally depends. So hope that was enjoyable. I'll try to do some more of these every now and then. It's kind of fun to show you all what I do here in my main shop. And my son Gavin also does assembly. So there you go. All right, y'all. We'll talk to you soon. Adios.